The Hidden Dangers of Common Fruits for Seniors Over 60. It was a crisp autumn morning when I, Barbara, sat down with my grandmother, Evelyn, for our usual breakfast chat. At 68, she was as vibrant and lively as ever, always sharing stories about her garden, her grandkids, and her newfound passion for cooking healthy meals. But this morning was different. We had just come from the doctor's office, where the results of her recent blood tests weren't as encouraging as we'd hoped. As we sipped our green tea, Evelyn started to worry about what she should avoid in her diet, now that her blood sugar was a bit elevated, and her kidney function wasn't what it used to be. "You know, dear," she said thoughtfully, "I've been eating a lot of fruits lately. They're supposed to be good for me, right?" She paused, the concern in her eyes deepening. "But I'm wondering if some of them could be doing more harm than good, especially with my medications and health conditions." I leaned in, knowing she was onto something. The truth is, even though fruits are generally packed with nutrients, certain ones can actually pose serious risks to older adults, especially those with conditions like diabetes, kidney disease, or heart issues. As much as we love them, it's essential to understand how certain fruits interact with medications and chronic health conditions, particularly for those over 60. And so, I decided to share with Evelyn the surprising list of fruits that might not be as healthy as we once thought. First on the list, I began, is starfruit, or ki as we know it. It might seem harmless, but it contains a neurotoxin called carboxin, which can wreak havoc on your kidneys. Since your kidney function isn't at its peak, eating too much starfruit could lead to nausea, dizziness, and even seizures in some cases. It's definitely a fruit to avoid, especially with your kidney condition. Evelyn's eyes widened, clearly surprised. "I've always loved starfruit in my smoothies," she exclaimed. "Well, that's one fruit I'll be crossing off my list." Then, I continued, there's the humble lychee, delicious but dangerous. Lychees are high in sugar, which can spike blood sugar levels and put extra strain on your pancreas. For someone with diabetes or even those at risk of it, these little fruits can make managing glucose levels much more challenging. And with your current blood sugar levels, it's best to limit them. Evelyn nodded, her mind processing the information. "Good to know. I've been putting them in my fruit salads." "But that's not all," I added. "Citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruits might be good for vitamin C, but they can also stimulate stomach acid production, which can lead to acid reflux. Worse, they can interact with some of the medications you take, making them less effective, especially for heart conditions." Evelyn sighed. "I always loved a good glass of orange juice in the morning, but I guess it's time for a change." "Lastly, I wanted to mention avocado," I said. "As much as it's hailed as a superfood, it's incredibly high in calories. While it's great for heart health, if you're not careful with your portion sizes, it can lead to unwanted weight gain, which can affect both your energy levels and cardiovascular health." Evelyn smiled softly, appreciating the guidance. "I guess I'll have to rethink my fruit choices." "Then," she said, "thanks for looking out for me, sweetheart." And with that, I realized that the road to healthy aging isn't just about what we add to our diet, but also about knowing when to hold back, even from the things that seem harmless. Because sometimes, even the healthiest looking fruits can be a hidden danger. As the morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, I noticed Evelyn's thoughtful expression, her fingers gently tapping on her teacup. She seemed deep in thought, processing the information I had shared with her. I could sense her concern, but also a sense of relief that now she had the knowledge to make better decisions for her health. "Barbara," she said softly, looking up at me, "I had no idea that something as simple as fruit could affect my health so much. It's scary to think about all the little things that can go wrong, especially with my kidney and blood sugar issues. Her voice trembled a bit, but there was a determination in her eyes. I've had a hard time keeping track of everything my doctor says. There's so much to remember. I smiled gently, sitting down next to her. I understand, Grandma. I know it can be overwhelming, but that's exactly why it's so important to stay informed. Knowing the specific risks helps you take control, and that's the first step toward protecting your health. As we sipped our tea, I decided it was time to have a more in-depth conversation about the common health issues older adults face, especially those like Evelyn, who had multiple health concerns. Kidney disease, diabetes, and heart problems are incredibly common among people over 60, I explained. And the thing is, these conditions can have a major impact on how your body reacts to certain foods, especially fruits. That's why it's so important to understand which foods could cause complications. Evelyn nodded slowly. I guess I've been lucky so far, but I can feel my body changing. I've had to cut back on certain foods because of my blood pressure. And now, with this kidney issue, I really need to be more careful. Exactly, I said, leaning in. Take kidney disease, for example. It's one of the most common conditions for people over 60, and it can really affect how your body processes things like potassium and other nutrients from fruits. That's why certain fruits, like starfruit, can be so dangerous. With compromised kidney function, that neurotoxin in starfruit can build up in the body, leading to symptoms that are not just uncomfortable, but potentially life-threatening. Evelyn's eyes widened again, and she seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. So, my kidneys could be struggling more than I think? Possibly, I said gently. But by being proactive and aware of which foods are best for you, you can slow down the damage and even improve your quality of life. The same goes for diabetes fruits that spike blood sugar, like lychees, can make it harder to manage your condition. For people with heart problems, certain fruits can interfere with medications, making it harder for your heart to stay healthy. It's all about balance. I never realized it was this complicated, Evelyn admitted, her voice softer now. It's like there's so much I have to think about every day just to stay healthy. That's why I'm here, I said with a reassuring smile. You don't have to face this alone. With the right knowledge, we can make smarter choices together. Just remember, taking care of your body is a journey, and small, informed steps can make a big difference. Evelyn's expression brightened as she squeezed my hand. Thank you for helping me understand all this, Barbara. I feel much more confident now that I know how to make the right choices for my health. In that moment, I realized that the key to healthy aging wasn't just about avoiding certain foods, it was about being empowered with the knowledge to make better decisions every day. With each piece of information, Evelyn was one step closer to taking control of her health, and that gave both of us peace of mind. After all, being informed means being in charge of your future, and that's the best gift anyone can give themselves. As the conversation with Evelyn continued, I could see the wheels turning in her mind. She was processing everything I had shared, but I could tell there was still some apprehension lingering in her thoughts. Barbara, she began, her voice shaky, what happens if someone doesn't pay attention to these things? I mean, what if they don't really watch what they eat, like the way I've been doing? What can go wrong? Her question lingered in the air, and I could sense the underlying concern in her words. It was a valid question, and one that needed addressing. Evelyn, I said, gently placing my cup down, that's exactly what I want to help you understand. The consequences of not paying attention to your diet can be more serious than most people realize, especially as we age. I leaned in a little closer, watching Evelyn's face as I spoke. I've known several people, including patients I've seen, who didn't take their diet seriously until it was too late. One of them, a dear friend of mine named Ruth, had been dealing with high blood pressure and diabetes for years. She never really took into account how certain foods could affect her. She loved her daily dose of oranges and lychees, thinking they were healthy fruits. What she didn't know was that these fruits were spiking her blood sugar levels and putting extra strain on her heart. Over time, the damage was done. Evelyn listened intently, her brows furrowing as she began to understand. "What happened to her?" she asked softly. "She ended up in the hospital," I continued, "with complications from both diabetes and heart disease. Her body couldn't handle the stress any longer, and she had to undergo emergency treatment." Ruth's story is just one example of how ignoring dietary advice can lead to serious consequences. She wished she had known earlier how critical it was to pay attention to what she ate. Now, she's working with a nutritionist to make better choices, but it's not an easy road. Evelyn's face turned solemn as she processed the weight of Ruth's story. "It's so hard to know what's really safe and what's not," she murmured, her eyes searching mine for reassurance. "Exactly," I agreed. "It can be overwhelming, and that's why doctors and nutritionists always stress the importance of learning about the foods we consume, especially as we age. One of the best pieces of advice I can give you is to consult with a professional who can help you navigate this process. They'll help you understand which foods work with your body and which ones could be dangerous. But what's most important is being proactive." I paused for a moment, giving Evelyn time to absorb everything. I could see the realization settling in, and it made me want to offer more. "Another woman I know, Margie, had a similar experience. She didn't pay attention to how certain fruits were interacting with her medication for blood pressure, and the results were catastrophic. After years of eating high-sugar fruits like bananas without any real concern, she started experiencing extreme fatigue, dizziness, and chest pains. By the time she saw her doctor, her heart was severely strained from the constant fluctuations in her blood sugar. Evelyn's eyes widened in concern, and I could tell that she was now fully aware of how important her dietary choices were. So, it's not just about avoiding the wrong fruits. It's about making sure we're not harming ourselves in ways we don't even realize. "Exactly," I said with a soft smile. "That's why it's so essential to pay attention to your body and listen to the experts. You're not alone in this journey. There are many people who are facing the same challenges, and medical professionals are always there to guide you through it. It's all about awareness, knowing that the wrong choices can harm you, and that by being informed, you can take steps to protect your health." Evelyn sat back, reflecting on what I had said. "I feel like I have so much to learn, but I'm glad I'm learning it now." "You're not alone," I reassured her. "We're all learning together. You've already taken the first step, Evelyn, and that's the most important one. Your health is in your hands, and by making informed decisions, you'll be able to enjoy the years ahead feeling empowered and confident." In that moment, I knew that the message had hit home. The reality of how a seemingly innocent fruit could cause harm was now clear to Evelyn. With this newfound awareness, she was ready to embrace a healthier, more informed approach to aging, one that could make all the difference in her future. And that was a comforting thought for both of us. As Evelyn sat there, processing everything we had talked about, I could see the wheels turning in her mind. She was contemplating the impact of the fruits we discussed and how small changes could make such a big difference to her overall health. The concern that had once clouded her face had now shifted into something more thoughtful, more determined. She finally broke the silence, her voice firm but filled with curiosity. "Barbara, what can I do now? What are the first steps I should take to make sure I'm eating the right foods and avoiding the ones that could cause harm?" I smiled, grateful for her openness. It wasn't always easy to make changes, especially when habits had been ingrained over many years. But Evelyn was ready, and that made all the difference. Well, Evelyn, the first step is awareness, and you've already made it, I replied. Now we just need to take the knowledge we've discussed and use it to empower your choices. The great thing about food is that it's not just about avoiding the wrong things, it's also about embracing the right ones. I could see Evelyn nodding, eager to hear more. So, what are the healthier options I should focus on? She asked. Great question, I said. Let's start with some alternatives to those fruits that can be a bit tricky for people over 60. For example, instead of key star fruit, which can be harmful to those with kidney issues, you might want to try berries like blueberries or strawberries. They're rich in antioxidants and vitamins, and they won't put your kidneys under stress. Plus, they're delicious in smoothies or as a topping for your morning oatmeal. Evelyn leaned forward, clearly interested in what I had to say. That sounds much safer, she agreed. But what about my sweet tooth? I do love a good citrus or sweet fruit. Ah, I totally understand. It's important to satisfy those cravings, but in a healthier way. Instead of oranges, which can increase acid reflux, why not try pomegranate or apples? They're still sweet, but they're much gentler on your stomach. Pomegranate is also loaded with antioxidants, which are great for heart health. Evelyn mused. I've heard a lot about antioxidants. Are there other fruits that have similar benefits? I smiled and nodded. Absolutely. Kiwi is another great option. It's high in vitamin C and fiber, and it's much less acidic than citrus fruits. Plus, it can help regulate blood sugar levels, which is perfect if you're managing diabetes. And don't forget about pears. They're sweet, hydrating, and filled with fiber. They're excellent for digestion and can keep you feeling full longer without spiking your blood sugar. Evelyn's eyes lit up as she absorbed this new information. These alternatives sound so much better. I think I can start making these changes right away. That's the spirit, I said, encouragingly. And don't worry, making these changes doesn't mean you have to give up everything you love. It's about balance. You can still enjoy your favorite foods, but by making small adjustments, like swapping out certain fruits for healthier options, you'll be doing wonders for your body in the long run. Evelyn smiled, a sense of relief washing over her. It feels good to know that I can make choices that actually help me. I didn't realize how much control I have over my health just by paying attention to the foods I eat. That's exactly right, I replied. Taking control of your health is all about making informed decisions, and you've already started down the right path. By choosing fruits and foods that are gentler on your body, you're actively protecting your kidneys, your heart, and your blood sugar levels. You're setting yourself up for a healthier, more energetic future. Thank you, Barbara, Evelyn said, her voice filled with gratitude. I feel so much more confident now. It's like I have a roadmap to follow, and I know I can take care of myself. I smiled warmly at her, proud of the steps she was ready to take. You're very welcome, Evelyn. You've got this. Remember, it's all about small, consistent changes. Over time, they add up, and you'll start to see and feel the difference. You're not just making changes for today, you're investing in your future health. As Evelyn stood up to leave, I could see that she was not only equipped with the knowledge she needed, but also a renewed sense of empowerment. She wasn't just going to change what she ate, she was going to change how she thought about food and health altogether. And that, I knew, was the most important transformation of all. As Evelyn prepared to leave, her newfound sense of empowerment still lingered in the air. She was clearly excited to begin making these changes to her diet. and I could sense that this conversation had sparked something deep within her, a renewed sense of control and awareness about her health. Before she stepped out, however, I wanted to ask one last thing. Evelyn, I'd love to hear your thoughts after you start making these changes. Have you noticed any differences in how you feel or any struggles along the way? Maybe you could even share your experience with others. Sometimes, talking about it helps not just you, but the people around you too. Evelyn paused at the door, turning back to me with a thoughtful expression. You know, Barbara, that sounds like a good idea. I bet I'm not the only one struggling with these things. There are probably others who need to hear this too, right? It's hard to feel like you're making the right choices when you're not sure what's safe or not. Exactly. That was precisely what I hoped Evelyn would realize, that this wasn't just about her. There were so many others out there facing similar challenges. Whether it was struggling with diabetes, kidney issues, or heart disease, the reality was that health was something we all had to be proactive about, especially as we age. And that's where the power of community and sharing stories came in. Absolutely, Evelyn, I replied, smiling warmly. That's why I love these conversations, because they help us all connect. Sharing your story might inspire others to make changes too. You're not alone in this journey, and sometimes hearing someone else's experience makes all the difference. Evelyn's face brightened as she nodded. I'll definitely think about it. Maybe I could share my experience with my friends at the community center. They'd be interested, I'm sure. That sounds like a wonderful idea, I said encouragingly. And you know, it doesn't even have to be a big thing. Maybe just a small chat over coffee, or a casual conversation while you're out with friends. You'd be surprised how many people are going through the same thing and could benefit from knowing what you've learned. Right, Evelyn said, her voice gaining confidence. I think I'll try that. And when I do, I'll make sure to mention those 6 fruits you talked about. People need to know that even something as simple as a fruit can make a big difference in how they feel, especially if they're dealing with health conditions. Exactly, I replied, nodding. Those fruits are so common in our diets, yet so many people don't realize the risks they pose. Key star fruit is dangerous for those with kidney problems. It contains toxins that can trigger seizures or even coma. Then there's the small fruit, whether it's grapes or any other variety with high sugar content, it can cause blood sugar spikes. Not to mention citrus fruits like oranges, which, though refreshing, can trigger acid reflux and interfere with the medications people often take for heart or blood pressure issues. And we can't forget avocados, which are full of healthy fats but also very high in calories. That could easily lead to unwanted weight gain, especially if someone is trying to manage heart health or diabetes. Evelyn looked down for a moment, clearly thinking about what I'd said. I didn't realize that something as simple as fruit could have such an impact. I've eaten all of these without thinking twice. But now I see how it's not just about taste. It's about how it affects my health in the long run. Exactly, Evelyn, I responded. And now that you have this knowledge, you can help others avoid the same pitfalls. If more people knew what we've talked about today, they might think twice before reaching for those fruits, especially if they have any underlying health conditions. I think I get it now, Evelyn said, a sense of purpose in her voice. I'll be more mindful of what I eat, and I'll share this with others, especially the ones who might not know the risks of those fruits. It feels good to be part of something bigger than just myself. That's the power of community, I said, smiling warmly. When we share what we know, we're not only helping ourselves but also lifting up those around us. You're already on the right track, Evelyn. By opening up and talking about these things, you're creating a space where others feel comfortable doing the same. And with that, Evelyn left, feeling not only empowered, but also connected to me. to the information that had changed her thinking, and most importantly, to a community that could support each other in living healthier, more informed lives. It was clear that this wasn't just about changing her eating habits, it was about creating a ripple effect of awareness that would touch many others. As Evelyn walked out, I couldn't help but feel a sense of fulfillment. The conversation we had today wasn't just about sharing information. It was about building a community of people who cared about their health, who were ready to make informed decisions, and who were willing to share their experiences for the benefit of others. Evelyn's enthusiasm was contagious, and I knew she wasn't the only one who needed this kind of guidance. I looked into the camera, ready to wrap up the video, but feeling deeply connected to the message I had just shared. So, that's it for today, everyone. I hope this video has given you something to think about, whether it's recognizing the potential risks of certain fruits or simply being more mindful of how your diet impacts your health as you age. Remember, it's never too late to take charge of your health and make choices that can improve the way you feel every day. I paused for a moment, thinking about the importance of building a conversation around this topic. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the fruits I mentioned today? Do you have any experiences you'd like to share? Or maybe you've made some changes in your diet that have worked wonders for your health? Your story could be just what someone else needs to hear. So don't hesitate to share it in the comments below. I smiled warmly, knowing how much these conversations meant to the people who would watch this video. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the Senior Moments Matt channel, and share this video with friends or family who might benefit from it. We're building a community here, and your participation makes all the difference. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the message I had just shared, knowing that this was just the beginning. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, questions, and stories. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. See you in the next video. And with that, I clicked the end button, satisfied that I had taken one more step toward building the kind of community I'd always dreamed of, a space where people like Evelyn and others just like her could come together to share, learn, and grow in their pursuit of better health.